It's News 360 live from our news hub here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. Good evening and welcome. I am Ayisha Yakubu.
And I am Crosby, Annan, and these are the headlines of the bulletin tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
National Candlelight Vigil in honor of the late High Life legend Charles Kwejofosu, popularly known as Daddy Lumba, ongoing at Independence Square in Accra.
Ghana Armed Forces says recent intensified military deployment and peace enforcement efforts have brought a noticeable calm to Bawku and its environs.
Also coming up, do you remember our day events during end of the school term? Well, tonight we'll tell you how parents are going all out to make the day special for their wards despite the financial strains.
Also in the bulletin tonight, we'll tell you what it means to be named as next of kin.
In international news, Palestinian militant group Hamas says it will not disarm unless an independent Palestinian state is established.
Welcome to the broadcast. You can also journey with us through the next 1 hour on our social media pages at TV3 Ghana. Let's start the bulletin from here.
In the details this evening, the Ghana Armed Forces says recent intensified military deployment and peace enforcement efforts have brought a noticeable calm to Bawku and its environs. The General Officer Commanding of the Northern Command, Brigadier General Wolanyo Agbebo, speaking to TV3, cautioned that public commentary by some security analysts risks undermining troop morale during this critical peacekeeping phase. Upper East Regional Correspondent Castro Senyala, who is always on the ground with the military, has more in the following report.
On July 28, the Ghana Armed Forces deployed 400 additional troops to the Upper East region after violence flared up following the tragic killing of 3 senior high school students. The new troops joined forces already on the ground in a move by the government to contain the renewed tensions. The new military reinforcement has been characterized by intensified patrols, cordon and search operations, and a significant show of force, including the use of military vehicles and fighter jets. The General Officer commanding the Northern Command, Brigadier General Wolanyo Agbebo, said there has been appreciable calm since the peace enforcement.
I want to use this opportunity to thank the government of Ghana and, for that matter, military high command, for trying as much as possible to provide everything that we want to make our stay here very successful and enjoyable. They have done their best. The rest is with us to deliver, to match the resources that they have given us. As at now, one of the greatest achievements within the past week is there has not been any single shot fired by any of the feuding parties, which means that something is being done.
General Wolanyo Agbebo said while the military is committed to restoring peace and protecting civilians, recent comments by some security analysts are causing concern.
I'm hearing some funny comments from some so-called security analysts who have not come to the ground and relied on whatever they want to rely on. It is not the best for us. Apart from the fact that they are misleading the country, they are also causing fear and panic. And it's not the best. For example, I'm told one analyst said that all our resources are in Bolga. So when there's a problem in Bawku, before we move them to Bawku, a distance of over 100 kilometers, which military command will do that to stretch his lines of communication on such a very good route? So it's not true. There's Bazua camp, which is about 15 minutes drive from Bawku, where our resources are based for this particular operation.
The Ghana Armed Forces has vowed to sustain the momentum on the ground through continued cordon and search operations and patrols to secure long-lasting peace in Bawku.
Let's now talk about galamsey, also known as illegal mining. And in a renewed effort to combat illegal mining, commonly known as galamsey, the government is adopting a multi-agency approach that actively involves traditional leaders to ensure sustainability and effectiveness. Addressing the National House of Chiefs, National Security Coordinator Abdulrazak Osman expressed optimism that this collaborative strategy will reinvigorate the fight against galamsey.
Galamsey has evolved from an environmental problem into a national security risk or crisis. When community can no longer drink from its river, when farmlands become wasteland, when the young people see no future except in the destruction of mining pits, we have not just as an environmental disaster, we have a perfect breeding ground for criminality and social unrest. Under relevant sections of the Mineral and Mining Act, illegal mining is a criminal offense. We do agree. But law enforcement without community buy-in mostly become tools of oppression rather than protection. This is why your power as traditional leaders become indispensable. Your people respect the land because you taught us to know that land is sacred. They will protect it if you command it. They will choose sustainable livelihood because you require it of us. You are not only rulers of people, you are guardians of the land. Government is determined to fight this canker. A multi-agency structure referred to as NIMOS, that is the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, has been established by government. We are humbly urging your Royal Majesties to support the mandate of this to enable it fight it well. Previous mechanism had failed because we had concentrated only on law enforcement, but now we want to do it as a multi-coordinated agency approach.
Away from the issue of galamsey, the decision by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice to file a nolle prosequi in the case of the Republic versus Kwabena Dufo and 7 others has stirred debate across political and legal communities in Ghana. While some have criticized the move, others say it sends the wrong signal to persons who may in future commit crimes against the state. There's more in the following report.
The accused persons have provided landed properties valued at 824 million Ghana cedis to Unibank. Further, the accused persons will be responsible for any shortfall in the proceeds realized from the sale of the landed properties. A total of 0.5 billion has to date been recovered out of the 1.2 billion being pursued from the direct beneficiaries. I want to jail persons who have looted state resources, but at the same time, I am pragmatic enough to know that it is not in every instance that that is possible. In those circumstances, I will opt for non-conviction-based asset recovery.
But the minority in Parliament accused the Attorney General of conflict of interest in the Kwabena Dufo criminal case. Ranking member on the Legal Affairs Committee, Kwame Enyimedu Entry, threatened to challenge the AG in court if his decision is not reversed.
Does the Attorney General have the right to free offenders at his own discretion? The learned Attorney General has obviously forgotten the theories of prosecution and punishment. If his decision is not reversed within a reasonable time, the minority will consider its options of proceeding to court to challenge its decision in its entirety.
Speaking on the key points, private legal practitioner Austin Bracco Powers was of the view that instead of just retrieving money from the directors of the failed banks, the state should always be interested in prosecuting them to serve as a deterrent.
When people fail to protect public property, it should always be in the interest of the government to punish them, to serve as a strong signal to others who are watching. One of the aims of punishment is deterrence. The behaviors of Ghanaians today reflect on our government, past and present. So if we are not scared of corruption, it is because of the behaviors of our government. Because our government, past and present, have been lethargic towards this corruption fight. And we are witnessing one. Ora says, okay, I will recover everything. But you must always know that in recovering, the sanction must be punitive.
For his part, CEO of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, noted that every effort must be made to recover the money from the directors of the banks that collapsed during the cleanup.
I stand firmly with Oral, but I'm saying let's recover the loot. Let's recover the money. First and foremost, let's recover the money. Recovering the money is so important to where we sit now. Look at the amount of money you will need to finance just the cleanup operation. This money will make a difference in the life of every single Ghanaian. And what we should do is that after we have recovered the money, don't turn around and make these people models of behavior.
Political scientist Dr. Richard Amwakuba favors the retrieval of the money from the directors of the failed banks than prosecution.
Yes, I agree we should not allow lawbreakers to go free. But you have to temper that with the other side. Does it help in the country? You put him in jail, you're going to feed him too. Then he says he's sick, you take him to hospital. All of these things are coming back to the state again. So always look to see if you can recover some of the stolen loot before you consider punishment. Otherwise, you are not helping the state at all. As I've said, punishment does not feed children. Hospitals, chip compound, whatever, all these are very important, and it takes money. And they are stealing the money, and you just want to throw them in jail and forget it. No. So get the money back. I support that.
The Office of the Attorney General, on Tuesday, July 22, 2025, announced a significant development of the case of the Republic vs. Kwabena Dufour and 7 others. The AJ said the state had filed a nolle prosequi to discontinue the criminal trial of the directors of Unibank, explaining that the directors had paid 60% of the funds expected to be retrieved by the state.
And now from legal drama to a national farewell, the Creative Arts Agency is tonight organizing a national candlelight vigil in honor of the late high life legend Charles Kojo-Fosu, popularly known as Daddy Lumba, who died last week Saturday. The event is taking place at the Independence Square in Accra. My colleague Joseph Armstrong Gold is there. He's joining us with some more updates. With Armstrong Gold. Armstrong, thank you for joining us at the moment. Talk to us, how was the mood, how's the atmosphere at the Independence Square like this evening?
Crosby, so right here at the Blackstone Square, many people, hundreds, have gathered here, and the mood, as usual, people singing songs of the late Lumba. Many of them have some fond memories to share, and some told me they've traveled from far back as Kumasi, and some were in Central region, Western region. Even people from the Northern region are all gathered here for this digital ceremony. And you could see, let me take you closer to what is happening here right now. This is the mood here right now. It's such, so far, this is what we see here right now. The program yet is officially yet to commence. And we have a lot of security men also deployed here to ensure some law enforcement and so that people will not disturb the environment. As it stands right now, I can count at least hundreds of supporters of Daddy Lumba who have all gathered here just to mourn his passing just a week after. So, Crosby, basically that is what is happening here at the Blaster Square right now, Crosby.
But do we know what the program outline is like tonight?
Probably we are still yet to get briefing from the organizers of the outline. What we know is that people were asked to come dressed wearing black and also holding a candle or two, and exactly what is happening here now. But we are told there are some artists on the bill that will be performing later today, but we are yet to know what exactly is going to happen, and the organizers will soon call the media and brief us on how the entire program is going to be like that. But right now, what stands right now, people are just holding their candle and just moving around and just going round. Many more people are trying to find their way into the square as I speak to you right now. But the program itself officially is yet to commence.
Armstrong, thank you. Thank you so much for those updates. Armstrong Gordon will be speaking with us from the Independence Square there. Let's do some other stories tonight.
Sources have confirmed that the suspect involved in the fatal stabbing incident at Kimbu Senior High School has been arrested. This follows calls by the family of the late Adib Al-Hassan for swift arrest by the police. The 15-year-old Form 1 student was allegedly stabbed during an altercation with his colleague. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Korle-Klottey, Dr. Zenato Ajiman-Rawlings, has strongly condemned the act of violence and pledged to collaborate with the Ghana Police Service and other relevant authorities to ensure thorough investigations and justice. Dr. Ajiman-Rawlings emphasized that violence has no place in schools and that children must feel safe in their learning environment. She called for a reassessment of safety protocols within schools to prevent such incidents from recurring. The Member of Parliament also expressed her commitment to working with the Ghana Education Service, school authorities, community leaders and security agencies to enhance safety and mental health support within schools. Dr. Ajiman-Rawlings also extended her thoughts to the bereaved family, students, teachers and entire Kimbu Senior High School community during this period of grief. We're staying a while longer on this subject. We have been joined by Dr. Peter Patianti. He is Executive Director, Institute for Education Studies. Good evening, Doc. Thank you for your time on News 360 tonight. Doc, you should unmute so we can hear you clearly. But Doc, my first question will be, it's as if we're seeing a lot of these violence and indiscipline in our schools. From where you sit, what is accounting for all of this?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers once again. Yeah, I think that on our last count, there's been about 7 incidents only this year, from January to July. There's been 7 incidents across various senior high schools in terms of student violence, use of harmful weapons like guns and then knives and other things. And we think that it's getting out of hand. The causes are enormous. We have already complained about the extent to which indiscipline is taking over our senior high schools. I also think that in this time that we are in, the generation that we have now needs a certain level of guidance, which it seems not to be present now. There are challenges with breakdown of discipline in our senior high schools, and of course, the senior high school system is designed not to tackle the challenge of insecurity. The system was designed to ensure that there's free flow of everything so that academic work can go on. But now, looking at how things are going, it seems that we have to also look at the security arrangement on our senior high school campuses. So these are some of the issues that are causing this violence in our senior high schools.
Aside the issue of security, there have been concerns about the mental and emotional well-being of the students on these campuses. How can we handle all of this?
Well, yeah, that's why I talked about the generation that we are handling now. There are so many things that they need to know, they need to be taken through, and we can deal with this by going back to our old guidance and counseling system. There are indications that the provision of guidance and counseling in our senior high schools have improved. We think that we need to make a lot of investment there. In as much as that we are putting money into ensuring that these kids, we pay their WASI fees, we pay their, we give them free education and other things. If we do not tackle that aspect of their lives in terms of their socio-emotional issues, we are just putting money into things that will not yield the requisite results that we want. So we think that government needs to commit a lot of money into dealing with the guidance and counseling issues in the schools. Aside that, we also think that we should continue to engage students more in terms of how they will be able to handling these things. And I think that bringing in the Parents and Teachers Association is very crucial, because when parents come on campus and the children see their parents admonishing them and asking them not to do A, B, and C, and then giving teachers a lot more power and authority to continue to control or handle the issues of discipline on our campuses is ideal. But more importantly, when these things happen, we should be able to separate criminal activities from things that are supposed to be handled by the school authorities. And in this instance where somebody is being stabbed and the person is dead, I think it's a purely criminal activity. And whilst GES would have to do other things to ensure that the students' social-emotional aspects are improved, we need to leave this to the security agencies for them to treat this as a criminal incident and punish the individual according to the laws of the land.
A lot of the time, Doug, it is the teachers that are faced with this violence and indiscipline. What can they do? What can parents also do, and the community at large, to ensure that the schools are safe for our students?
Well, I think that first the community needs to support teachers. There have been instances where issues like this happen, and the teachers would want to take some measures, and they are being attacked, or they don't have the support of the community or the parents by extension. And I think that we need to strengthen the collaboration between the parents and the teachers, the school community, and the school authority, so that we are all stakeholders in the development of the child, because when the child becomes when the child grows, it becomes beneficial to the society at large, what we call social benefits of education. So I think that teachers need to be given the requisite authority. As we all know, there were some issues where teachers felt that the discipline of the child is not their concern. And I've heard this a lot from teachers who say that I came here to teach, and after teaching, I leave. And this is what I've read all these issues that we're experiencing. One of the important things we also need to do now is to check the whole security arrangement on our senior high schools. We know that there are people who are employed to man the entrance, the gates for the school, and there are school watchmen and other things. I cannot talk about the security background of these people, but I think that it's time that teachers and the security on campus are giving some orientation for them to be able to do random search and pick security signals on campus. I think this is something that we need to, as part of the continuous professional development of our teachers, we need to include this security bit of it, so that they are security conscious and know how to deal with students who come to campus with weapons and other things. But we also need to ensure that there is adequate security provided at the school entrance, and people who are given that mandate should be trained to be able to detect some of these things before they get out of hand. Random search and other things in the dormitory, housemasters can randomly search the students to ensure that these things are not brought and kept on school compound. I think if we do all this, a combination of a lot of factors, we'll be able to make a headway. But as it stands now, we seem not to know what to do with the challenges that is happening in our secondary schools, and it's getting out of hand.
Thank you very much for your contribution on this subject, Doc. It is very much appreciated. Dr. Peter Party, NT, is Executive Director, Institute for Education Studies.
Now, away from that, international relations expert Professor Daniel Dramani has welcomed government's decision to make ambassadors sign key performance indicators. This is aimed at boosting investment and promoting made-in-Ghana products abroad.
According to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, the decision to make diplomats sign KPIs is part of new policy the government intends to roll out to boost Ghana's economic diplomacy.
5 new policy interventions we have rolled out to show our commitment to our belief in Made in Ghana. The first one is the new reform to introduce, for the first time in our country's history, KPIs for our ambassadors. No ambassador henceforth will be dispatched out of Ghana without clear KPIs that they must meet. We have instructed all our diplomatic missions that it is now compulsory to host national days.
A foreign relations expert at the University of Ghana, Professor Daniel Dramani Kipo Sunyesi, welcomed the move, describing it as feasible.
I think the key performance indicators or key performance metrics that the ministry or His Excellency President is giving out to the diplomat, it's not something that is so difficult to do. Diplomatically, it's feasible, and because the ministry has done a lot of groundwork in respect to this economic diplomacy, almost all the 71, 72 foreign missions, whatever good made in Ghana that is peculiar to that country, the list is there. Groundwork has been done. I believe that that is very, very feasible and that is doable for our ambassadors and high commissioners that the president will give them the task.
He added that the job of an ambassador is to ensure that the support the country has to the host country.
For instance, if you are Ghana ambassador to South Korea and you are going to have Ghana event, like the minister rightly said, Ghana National Day, and we invite other diplomats in Korea, including the host Korean politicians. So we serve them Ghana food, we provide them our Bawku, we provide them our fufu, we provide them our play. So this is something that is acceptable in diplomatic practice. And so if Ghana is doing it, I do not think that it will create any problem. I think we are rather getting our diplomacy right.
In Ghana, many people believe that writing someone's name as their next of kin automatically gives the person the right to inherit their assets, from bank accounts to property. It's a widespread assumption, but it's also wrong. Despite its official tool, next of kin is not a magic key to your estate. So if naming someone does not mean they will get everything when you're gone, what does it really mean? Noble Crosby Annan has been finding out and has filed this report.
Bibianya ya se watson ye mokom e dey sit down say we the next of kin who ya next of kin for na ton down no na dey akokoto fufu adi
next of kin. How are you? It's cool now. What that when it am so dear what that me shame say ha.
It's a box we tick without thinking, a name we scribble with little thought. Next of kin sounds official, feels important. But for many Ghanaians, they have it all wrong.
It's like your successor. In case you are not there or you are dead, it's someone who takes in charge of your money and everything.
Or someone who inherits whatever they are in charge of. Someone to be held accountable or responsible, something like that.
If I'm creating an account and they ask for a list of kin, that'll be the person who will take over the account when I'm no more.
Someone who comes after you when you happen to be dead or something.
That's where the misconception begins. We think we're handing someone the keys to a bank account, properties or pensions, but the truth may surprise you. The title, next of kin, doesn't necessarily make someone your automatic heir. It's not a legal license to your estate. So, if it's not, then what is it?
Under the common law of Ghana, the next of kin's rule is not one of a beneficiary. The next of kin's rule, Celia Cranton Ado, is to assist the entity, trace the family.
Next of kin is more about communication, not compensation.
In insurance, the next of kin is we solicit information from you in case of emergencies, but not necessarily you being paid the benefits. The benefit goes to the beneficiaries or the nominated beneficiaries. Primarily for emergencies contact. We contact you when we don't have anybody that we can fall on.
But when it comes to assets or inheritance, what happens? When there's a will the next of kin feature at all?
There is no statutory definition of a person who is a next of kin unless a person has named someone as a beneficiary in his will before the person gets any benefit from the testator's estate or the person who died and made a will. And so, when you are being named as a next of kin, it doesn't mean that you automatically gain any benefit or gain from the estate of the person who has died and made a will.
Meaning, the person you listed at the bank may not inherit a peswa if your will says otherwise. Nevertheless, naming a next of kin has its own benefits. It can guide decision-making in hospitals or emergencies. Beyond hospitals and legal documents, the next of kin also plays a role in the workplace.
In simple terms, the records of a next of kin is to allow the employer or company to reach out to the person in case of any emergency. The fact that you're a next of kin does not mean you're entitled to any entitlement if there is.
So, the next time a form lands on your desk and asks for your next of kin, pause. Don't just write a name because it sounds right. Ask yourself, do they know and can they act? Noble, Crosby, Annan, TV3 News, Accra. Well, let's shift from paperwork to end-of-term celebrations. The vibrant street of Accra, they were alive with excitement as children gathered to celebrate our day. An event held to end the academic term in basic schools across Ghana. And while many children relished their treats, parents were left grappling with the financial burden. A report by Erica Juma Krenche.
A joyful occasion for kids, but a financial strain for parents. For many, the celebration of our day was a moment to forget academic pressures and simply enjoy the day. The activities have evolved to include various competitions. Some children seemed more focused on enjoying the day rather than worrying about their end-of-term results.
Every day we learn. So our day, we come and celebrate and enjoy. That's what.
How we get to take our mind off education a little bit. And also relate and interact more with our friends, yes.
Our day is a traditional event that happens in every school to celebrate us for thanking God for moving us to a term or another class. With His grace, we have moved to another class. So our day is just a day to celebrate how God has protected us from the first term to this term, move to another class. That's what our day means to me.
Parents, however, had a different perspective on the celebrations. Even though they cherished the joy it brought their children, many voiced concerns about the rising costs associated with the festivities, from new clothes to food and entertainment. Parents expressed frustration over the expenses involved in making the day special for their wards.
I have 2 kids. Providing for them on our day is quite expensive, but I have no other option.
Some teachers reflected on how the Our Day celebrations have changed over the years.
These days, it's not as much as first because these days things are changing. So some parents prefer to do it in the form of money. Hope you're getting me. Yeah, but at our time, we used to carry those baskets. Your mom will fry chicken for you, then you just have your basket and everything, then you give it to the teacher. Let's say soup and other stuff. Yeah, but these days, most parents prefer the money rather than the food stuff.
Since we brought food to the school, we make sure that only you eat the food, because there are some instances whereby some of the children will be eating other people's food, and then at the end of the day they'll be complaining that you'll be having some kind of stomach problems. So since we don't want that thing to happen again, when you bring the food from the house, we don't want to sack you, but we'll make sure that the food that you are eating, you eat alone.
I think it is now evolving. Let us put it like that. The gift comes just like the olden days. The children, they really participate, and then our day happens to be the most anticipated day of the whole term.
The Our Day event remains a cherished tradition for children in basic schools across the country.
Well, from some good news to some rather disturbing developments, it's been 7 months into the year, and already our roads have seen far too many crashes, too many injuries, and too many lives lost. Every morning we wake up, we grab our keys and we hit the road, off to work, off to school, off to church, or off to the market. But in the rush for our daily routines, we often forget just how quickly a normal trip can take a wrong turn. Now, between January and June 2025, Ghana recorded some 7,289 road crashes. Now, follow closely. That's an average of 40 crashes every single day. I would like you to pause and think about this. But the bigger story isn't just about the vehicles. It's the people who are inside the vehicles, because the true cost of what we're talking about isn't the metal. It is the lives that are at stake. 8,364 people, they were injured. That's thousands of mothers, fathers, and children, breadwinners, many now with broken bones, shattered dreams, or permanent disabilities. Again, think about it. Some may walk again, others may not. Some are still in hospitals, others are at home, but they are living with pain. And out of that, 1,504 people, they didn't make it at home at all. They died on the spot. They died in ambulances, or they died on operating tables. That's more than 8 deaths every day just from road crashes. Again, the most painful number, 1,504 people killed, gone, wiped out in an instant, on their way to work, on their way to church or from church, to a funeral or anywhere at all. In fact, that is 1,504 empty chairs at a family dinner, 1,504 funerals that could easily have been avoided. Let's break down the vehicle types for you. Now, private vehicles led the way with some 5,029 cases. That's your Uber rides, your private saloon cars, and your SUVs, etc. Then commercial vehicles, they came into the scene. 4,182 of them. Think about the trotros, think about the taxis packed with passengers, many of whom have no seat belts. Vehicles that carry dozens daily. A crash here doesn't just affect one person, it destroys entire families. I know there's the mention of also motorcycles. 3,143 of them, they were involved, from delivery riders rushing against time to Okadas weaving between traffic without helmets, swerving between cars. They think it's a video game, except in real life, there's no restart button. And now to the part that hits hardest. Who is dying? 78% of the deaths were males. That's nearly 8 out of every 10 lives lost. Could it be because more men drive or more men ride or take risky decisions on the road? Perhaps. Because men are more likely to drive, more likely to ride, and more likely to speed. Maybe more likely to take chances as well. And sadly, they pay the ultimate price. But either way, the numbers, they are very clear. Now to women. Women made up 22% of the deaths. It is still painful because behind every number is someone's daughter. Behind this number is someone's mother or somebody's sister who never made it home. These aren't just numbers on the screen. They are names etched into tombstones. They are children now fatherless. They are mothers now broken. They are dreams now broken and dreams buried under red sand and cement blocks. So the next time you sit behind the wheel or hop on a bike or board trotro or any vehicle, remember to slow down. That's number one. Remember to stay alert. That's also number one. And remember to put life and safety above speed. That is also number one. Let's not wait until the next 6 months to count more bodies. Let's stop the bleeding and let's drive to arrive. Ayisha Yakubu Halit, that's some good advice for
certainly, Crosby.
all of us
The number of
note.
fatalities are really, really scary. We need to be more careful on the roads we need to do better for ourselves and the people around us. You're watching News 360. We have some more news right after the break. Stay with us.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Welcome back. Let's bring you some more stories now. Maternal deaths in Ghana are on the rise, with some 2,529 women aged between 12 and 54 reported to have died from pregnancy-related complications between 2021 and 2023. Regions with the highest number of maternal deaths include the Ashanti, Greater Accra, Northern and Eastern regions.
Reports show that women aged 30 to 34 are the most victims of maternal deaths. The leading causes of death include hemorrhage, hypertensive disorders, and infections, among others.
This finding clearly shows that maternal mortality in Ghana over the past few years from 2015 hasn't declined as quickly as we expected. As of 2024, we had a total of 819 mothers losing their lives during childbirth. The high regions have been Ashanti region, Greater Accra region, Eastern region, Northern region. When women are referred from far places to health facilities with capacity to deal with this, they tend to spend a little bit more time on the way. Even when they get to the facilities, their institutional delays makes it difficult for them to receive the needed care as quickly as possible.
Biostatistician Professor Giajumo has also raised concerns over the rising rate of family planning discontinuation, particularly among urban dwellers.
The rate at which people discontinue the use of family planning methods has really increased in 2022 compared to 2014, independent of the wealth status, the age category, the regional disparities. We realize that people are no longer really interested in the continuation of the use of modern contraceptives. The discontinuity rate is even higher in urban settings. So maybe Ghana Health Survey can shift focus slightly and also do more campaign on the importance of doing family planning in the urban areas.
Speaking at the countdown to 2030 National Dissemination Forum, the Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Samuel Boachi, emphasized that efforts are on the way to reduce maternal mortality and improve care for children and adolescents across the country.
When it comes to the analytics, Ghana is doing very well in terms of immunization. When it comes to deaths of mothers, that one there are challenges. So when we do the analytics, then it informs policy makers to see what can we do differently to ensure that no mother goes to live and die, and also to ensure that our children do not die within the first month of birth, and when women get pregnant, there are no stillbirths, that the women do not die in utero or during childbirth.
Associate Professor at the University of Southampton, Kristen Wilson, applauds Ghana's commitment to reducing the inequity in service coverage and quality of service.
It's now time for sports. Bila Shen is on standby.
Segment is brought to you by
Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishe. Now, the Ghana Football Association's Statutes Review Committee has proposed an extension of the tenure of the association's president from 2 to 3 terms ahead of the 31st Ordinary Congress, which is set to take place on August 12, 2025 at the Ghana Man Center of Excellence in Prom Prom. The report, which was submitted to the Executive Council, is also suggesting that the GFA Congress should consider 2 vice presidents, of which one would be a woman, to chair the women's football desk. The GFA Statutes Review Committee has put forth this proposal, citing international best practices from FIFA and CAF regulations that allow presidents to serve for 3 terms. If approved, Keto Kreku might be eligible to serve 2 more terms, extending his tenure beyond the current 8-year limit. Now, sports analyst Jerome Autry says he disagrees with the proposal to extend the presidential term, describing the act as a selfish one.
It's something that serves or will serve the interest of Ghana football, because, in my opinion, our football is just coming out of the checkered things that the Football Corruption Expose number 12 put us through. If you have come on the back of something rough like number 12, and you have only worked with all the things that were put in place from that period till now for only 6 years, why do you want to change it when we have not tested the various systems that have been in session since 2019? So I come from the position that the term limit extension, or the proposal to extend the term limit, is selfish. It is selfish because I see it to be the people in office right now seeking to elongate their stay in power. And that, for me, is not the best.
Now, in a bid to unearth talents, foster community engagement, and promote grassroots football, the 2025 edition of the OMJ Soccer Fest Equiapim South Football Gala began at the Obodang Diaspora Girls Park in Pokrum on Saturday. My colleague Andrew Sefa-Banfo was there and put together this report.
In a highly competitive spirit, 12 teams from 24 communities participated on the opening day. Under the umbrella of Harnessing Talent for Sustainable National Development, founder and CEO of OMJ, Joseph Osei Mensah, expressed his satisfaction with the talent on show.
When I look at the display that these young chaps are putting across, I can tell you we are likely to get the next Kudus, the next Muntaris, the next Asians from this breed of players we have on the pitch.
Beyond the on-field activities, health screening events were put together for players and spectators with the overall well-being of the community at heart. Municipal Health Director Emily Amponsa stressed the importance of health to sports personnel.
So once you are a soccer footballer, you need to be healthy. So being healthy, you need to be doing your normal screening. You need to check your BP, check your weight, check your BP, your sugar, everything.
At the end of an engrossing first day, Obodan secured the semi-final berth alongside defending champions Konkro, who are hopeful of retaining their crown.
We are highly determined to win this time around due to our teamwork and communication from our coaches, and secondly, we also do match after match analysis.
The tournament is expected to conclude on Sunday with enthralling semi-final matchups.
That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. There's more on the bulletin after this break.
Hey, so mommy, what are you going to do now about jollof?
Oh, Kwame. You know our secret, right?
Yeah. Efia.
Yes, me. I've got it.
Now add your Chino jollof mix.
The perfect blend of tomatoes, pepper, and fine herbs and spices to ensure a consistent taste every time. And there you have it, your original Ghana jollof.
In entertainment news this evening, the Creative Arts Agency will hold a candlelight vigil tonight in memory of high life music legend Daddy Lumba. The solemn and inspirational event will be at the Independence Square, Accra, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The vigil forms part of a global tribute to the late icon, with simultaneous ceremonies expected to be held in Ghana, Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the Netherlands. The event will also serve as a moment of national reflection, celebrating the unifying power of music, culture, and community. Daddy Lumba, whose music shaped generations and defined the high life genre, passed away on Saturday, July 26, 2025, after a short illness. Also, as part of efforts to honor the enduring legacy of Daddy Lumba, tonight's edition of Showbiz 360 will be brought to you live from the Independence Square, venue for the candlelight vigil in memory of the music legend. Media General's head of entertainment, Giovanni Caleb, has been opening up about the special edition of Showbiz 360.
So we're collaborating, of course, with the Creative Arts Council and then the sector
ministry. We want to also show our support. We have the airtime, we have the space. Lumba has played a key role in our entertainment industry of all these decades. So we want to see how best we can also get the message across to fans, lovers, family, and the world over, using all our platforms on air, online. We'll be out there on the grounds to bring you all you need to know. We're going to have generational stories, let me put it that way. So those who were impacted by his craft early on, those who are now getting impacted by his craft and all that, we want to tap into that, and then of course showcase to our world what the plan is for even the final funeral. Showbiz 360 will be live from the venue, and it's not going to be like the usual you see, but it will be a moment worth it.
And please do well to make a date with Giovanni Caleb on Showbiz 360 at 8 p.m. Does now bring you some international news.
Palestinian militant group Hamas said that it would not disarm unless an independent Palestinian state is established, a fresh rebuke to a key Israel demand to end the war in Gaza. Indirect negotiations between Hamas and Israel aimed at securing a 60-day ceasefire in the Gaza war and deal for the release of hostages ended last week in a deadlock. On Tuesday, Qatar and Egypt, who are mediating ceasefire efforts, endorsed a declaration by France and Saudi Arabia outlining steps towards a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The country said that as part of this, Hamas must hand over its arms to the Western-backed Palestinian Authority. In a statement, Hamas, which has dominated Gaza since 2007 but has been militarily battered by Israel in the war, said it could not yield its right to armed resistance unless an independent, fully sovereign Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital is established. Israel considered the disarmament of Hamas as a key condition for any deal to end the conflict, but Hamas has repeatedly said it is not willing to lay down its weaponry. The Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have agreed on terms of economic cooperation in several sectors as the two countries move towards delivering a peace deal signed in June. The tenants agreed on Friday summarize a regional economic integration framework which includes elements of cooperation on energy, infrastructure, mineral supply chains, national parks and public health, according to the State Department of the United States, which brokered the deal. In the statement, Rwanda and the DRC affirmed that each country has full sovereign control over the exploitation, processing and export of its natural resources and recognized the importance of developing mineral processing and transformation capacity within each country, according to Reuters. A former Prime Minister of Mali has been charged with undermining the credibility of the state following a social media post about his visits to political prisoners, according to a prosecutor. Moussa Mara held the post of Prime Minister for a brief 8 months from 2014 to 2015.
Well, that's our package for you tonight, but there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. I am Noble Crosby Annan.
And I am Ayisha Yakubu. Enjoy the rest of our programs and have a good evening.
La 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 la.